don't want her to die.
Yes.
It's interesting though that Ned Stark, pretty much the main character of the show, isn't worried about this at all. He doesn't think that they're going to pose a problem even with the horse people. Are they really called the horse people, or is that just what I call them?
Dothraki.
But
The horse lords.
Horse lords.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So the horse lords, he is not afraid of them. He feels like as soon as they come on their land, they would just be overpowered by their awesome army.
Yeah. So let me give you just a couple other moving pieces here, and then I want to get your thoughts on the first two episodes.
Excellent.
So in addition to what we've already described, we also have Jon Snow, who is Ned Stark's bastard son.
Right. So we found out in the second episode, was the product of when Ned was out in battle 17 years ago. Although he's typically a very honorable and loyal man and husband, he had an affair.
Yes.
And we don't know yet who the mother is, although I'm sure she'll be introduced at some point. And he came back home after being gone for a year with a son from another woman.
Yes.
Thus causing quite a problem with his wife. It seems like his wife hates Jon Snow.
She does indeed. She resents him, but it's kind of a moot point now because Jon Snow is headed north to join the Night's Watch at the Wall. And those are the people that, again, we saw in that first scene.
Yes, and I mean, it looks to be a dangerous position. And I heard that they, once recruited and once they decide to join, it's for life.
Yes.
You can never get out of it.
Now, he hasn't sworn the vow yet.
Okay.
But he's on his way. He's towards that path.
You know who else is on his way?
Tyrion.
But
he's not going up there to join. He's going up there to visit.
Oh, I did not get that. I thought he was joining.
No, he made a comment about how if he was to join the Night's Watch, then all of the whores would have to go into mourning or something, because Tyrion is a bit of a lecherous fellow.
Does that mean ladies' man?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we also have, in House Stark, we have Robb, who is the oldest son, who is now running Winterfell because his father is away in King's Landing in the south.
I'm sure Robb is going to end up being a nice guy, but I don't like him right now.
Yeah. We have Sansa, who is the next oldest, who is now betrothed to Joffrey Baratheon.
She's horrible.
She is rather horrible.
And the person you said she's betrothed to these are both teenagers. One is the king and queen's son.
Yes.
And then Sansa is Ned's daughter.
Yes.
So it looks like they're going to join their houses.
It would appear that way for now. Joffrey Baratheon, not a good guy.
The kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, both these kids are bad, but the guy is especially bad. The prince, horrible.
Yes.
There's a lot of unlikable characters in that family.
There are indeed. So then we also have Arya Stark, who is Ned Stark's youngest daughter.
Ah, yes, and she is sort of a tomboy.
She is.
So it makes her cool because she's good at sword fighting and archery.
And then finally we have Bran Stark, who at the end of the first episode was climbing up the tower and saw Queen Cersei and her brother Jaime Lannister,
Her twin brother,
having improper relations.
they were having sex. And
Yes.
Bran is his name?
Bran.
The little kid, he's just climbing, being kid-like.
Yeah.
And he accidentally peers into a window. Actually, I think he heard sounds.
Yes.
And he went to find out what was happening. And this is the shocking final scene of the pilot episode. I mean,
Jaime Lannister finds him. He asks him what he's seen, realizes that he knows everything, and he says, "The things I do for love."
and then pushes him out the window, and the kid falls to his maybe death?
Not his death.
Not his death after all.
Because we find out in episode 2 that he is still alive, and at the end of the final scene of the second episode, he opens his eyes.
Right, but when he opened his eyes at the exact same time as the death of one of the dire wolves, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yes.
Are we going to talk about the dire wolves?
We should briefly touch on the dire wolves.
Okay.
So in the first episode, the Stark children find 6 dire wolves, 5 of them for Ned Stark's 5 noble-born children.
And one runt that's completely white.
Which is Jon Snow's.
Yeah.
So these direwolves seem to have a somewhat spiritual tie to the children, you might say.
They do. They seem intelligent, protective, and unfortunately one had to be killed. And
Yes.
at the exact same time as that one's death, Bran opened his eyes.
Even more interesting, though, with the direwolves is when they find them, they find the mother of the direwolf with a stag's antler through her chest.
Okay.
Now, would you like to know what's interesting about this?
I would.
The sigil of House Stark is a direwolf. The sigil of House Baratheon is a stag.
Wait, who's Baratheon again?
The king, Robert Baratheon.
Oh no, it's foreshadowing that they're gonna be at odds?
I'm not telling you anything.
Interesting, I had no idea.
So, we've just been describing stuff to show you how, and there's more we could talk about, but this is a very complex series.
Yeah.
Matt, what are your thoughts through 2 episodes?
Well, so far, so good. I mean, it captured my attention. I mean, I don't want to be a baby about it, but some of the stuff, I wouldn't typically watch a show with this much
it's
adult
themes.
Yeah. I know that you're really into it though, and I think that some of our listeners are, some of our audience. So I'm gonna try to stick it out and see how it goes. I mean, the story itself seems pretty interesting.
Yes.
But what I hope that we get out of these videos is I really love how you can add in your book knowledge, kind of clear up some things I might not know, and maybe some of our listeners who only watch the show and haven't seen the book or haven't read the book, you can help them out there.
For sure.
So this is going to be good.
From a book perspective, I'm really enjoying it so far. There's a couple points where I almost feel like they're staying a little too close to the book. And what I mean by that is that they're trying to take as much of the dialogue as possible from the book, so you'll get some really abbreviated conversations where it almost feels like, well, maybe you could have been a little more creative to come up with a way of telling that same thing rather than just kind of truncating sections of the book. So that's been my one semi-complaint. But as far as the look of the series, really nails it. Everything in production design, acting is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. I'm seeing one of my favorite books brought to life.
I'm glad, Ben.
Now, I also want to say that if you don't get HBO, or you're not up for watching all of this graphic stuff, I do recommend the books as well. And if you don't have the time to read, I would also highly recommend the audiobooks.
The audiobooks, which you mentioned, are outstandingly produced.
The first 3 books are read by a man named Roy Dotrice. I've never heard anything else he's read, but they are the finest audiobooks that I have ever listened to. I am re-listening to them right now.
Very good.
So, is that it for this first episode?
I guess that's all from here. I'm Anderson.
I'm Ben DeBono.
We are the Sci-Fi Christians, signing off.